Alright. Hey guys, gonna be doing a video on how I set up those backgrounds. I'll pretty much try to talk as I set it up, but for the most part, one of the most important things that I always gotta start with is lighting. I know is one thing that most people tend to overlook and think about after they set it all up. I try to do that right away. As you can see, I literally just come up with whatever I can. Just try not to be afraid to just try different things and just go for it, I guess. Every now and then you'll find something that looks pretty good. Usually I always try to find a nice spot down here in the basement. And it doesn't matter if it gets dirty. And one of the second steps is picking the model that I'm going to be using. I got this one right here. I'll try to talk about it as I'm setting it up. And always finding the right angle to, where you want to have the camera, where you want to take the picture. And often I'll set up a piece of wood there so I don't have to hold it. Already tested a bunch of different angles. I think this one will be pretty good, I guess. But yeah, so one of the second things is I set up pieces of wood in the background to support any extra pieces that I put. So I'll start with these pieces of concrete that used to be part of a building in my old model train garden. I just always found it was kind of easy to work with concrete. You just build a mold and dump it right in. I'm always checking the camera to see how it's coming, what it looks like. Now find some more pieces here. Adjust that one a little bit. I'm trying to make it look like an old building that had been collapsed throughout the years. Maybe it was bombed or destroyed or burned down or something. Probably would have been a small office building or something like that. I'd always got to be checking the camera from which angle I'd like to use. Yeah, this video might not be the most interesting one, but hopefully it'll be informative. Yeah, just keep going with this. That is little by little. Trying to make sure this video ain't too long. But yeah, just try to keep it random, covering up the background so it really just turns into its own little world. I kind of like Martha Stewart or whatever cooking show had it a little set up already, so you didn't have to sit through the whole thing. But yeah, so I guess I'll talk a little more about this concrete. I always wanted to put more buildings into my backgrounds, but the elements out there in the garden are pretty much always destroying whatever I put out there. So what's stronger than cement? And it scales pretty well, you could make almost anything. Alright, now what else do you think we need? Try to cover up that wall a bit more, I think. Some trees maybe. I had a lot of plants in that garden too, and when I eventually got rid of it, I kept a lot of them. Just cut them out, let them dry, and yeah. Right here will be good. Yeah, it's one thing where I'm selling a lot of models or getting rid of things or throwing things out, I always try to keep some things that I can reuse over and over again. And these things are perfect. I mean, they just really make it look, they just really give the area like a dead, desolate kind of look to them. Kind of reminds me of the movie The Road. A pretty melancholy film, but pretty accurate depiction of what the apocalypse would be like. It wouldn't be all, well, for the most part, it wouldn't be as high octane as like a Mad Max and all that. Alright, that looks pretty good so far, I think. Another step would be some ground cover, which I just use, is just dirt and little bits of stuff that get stuck in there every time I sift out all the bigger chunks when I break the models or the backgrounds back apart. Dirt, concrete, rocks, sand, little bits of twigs, broken plastic. Pretty much just dump this stuff everywhere. Yeah, this is all it really is. Real dry and powdery, makes dust if you want to have more of an action shot. They got all kinds of extra materials and random bits of scrap. Busted up concrete. Toss some of that in there as well. Dead foliage. It's literally just thrown together. And just slowly by slowly, just always checking the screen if you have a digital camera. It makes it so much easier. You just literally build this thing. Now, what else? I think a junk car maybe. And that's another thing I like to build is if I have kits that are damaged or missing parts, I like to build them as just rusting hulks that have been, picked over or wrecked. Got an old Chevy Nomad. I think this will be a nice looking car. At least for this picture anyway. That's looking pretty good, I think. I'm probably saying the same thing over and over again, ain't I? Alright, here's some bigger bits of concrete laying around. This would be more of like an urban scene, I guess. Alright, maybe some, another thing that's always good, old tires. Probably be a lot of them laying around. Alright, I think I'm past the 10-minute mark. I'll just go a little bit more, almost done here. Yeah, I think right about there, that'd make a pretty good picture. What do you think? And that's another thing, always got these little guys running around. Oh, they ate the ants that come in here. But so yeah, with the lighting, just taking it a little bit at a time, one piece at a time, layering, and always checking the camera, checking the lens, or checking the screen to see how the image is building. You don't have to make it that crazy, that big. It doesn't have to be a big permanent setup. You get maybe 2 good pictures out of here. Maybe one from the back, one from the front. That's pretty much all you need, I guess. So I guess I'll talk about this model too while I'm here. This model was definitely inspired by something. It was the video game Fuel. One of the cars you were able to race in this game, set in the apocalypse, post-apocalypse, was kind of like a 1950s car, similar to this one, and it had a lot of the body cut away, and you could see all the framework and the suspension. And I thought that was real cool. So I got the body of this car, which is a '59 Galaxy Skyliner, which had a opening convertible hardtop, and the chassis is from a NASCAR model that I've built and parted out. We've got the differential in there, suspension, the shocks, drive shaft, fuel tank. Got a gun on the dash, gun up against the rail there. Got a seat from I think that was a '69 Camaro model. Got some extra lights on the front. Try to make it look like all the parts didn't come from one place. So got different style, color, headlights, mix and match. One's missing the glass. Different wheels from the front to back. Little dents, little rust. I really like the look of these old 50s cars, so I didn't want to mangle up the body too bad. But I think I found a pretty good sweet spot where it looks pretty beat up, but still has, its original appeal. Now this one's not as beat up and as rusty as the other ones that I've done in the past. Yeah, speaking of beat up and rusty, here's a closer look at that '57 Chevy Nomad wagon. This is actually a die cast. I think I got this from a bargain bin at a hobby shop, little small family owned place that still did that kind of stuff. And even flea markets and garage sales, you can find all these busted up models, or you can just find cheap ones on the internet and smash them up yourself. But yeah, like the idea that this one had been rolled and the roof pretty much smashed, axle half pulled off, missing one of the wheels, muffler is all bent up, disconnected. Yeah, so I figured I'll do another one of these backgrounds, maybe make something a little more permanent, and I can use that as a background for explaining these models and showing little things about them. Well, I guess I'll say it again. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I love hearing feedback, and it really dictates what I do next. Well, see you around.